Hey, welcome everybody to Friday Night at the Crib. Everybody's welcome to come and join us. The link is in the chat, and feel free. I think we're mostly going to try and talk about the pass through and the Tier 7 stuff and maybe some other things at this point. But any other topics you'd like to bring up, feel free. And I will introduce people from left to right. It's Venom Hurricane, who I still think has his Christmas motif up at this point in time.
I'll change it eventually.
Okay. Because I don't think it's always been like that, has it? This is your,
Yeah,
you should throw your Christmas tree out by, I don't know, February is not, I think February is a little bit late. Good morning, Toxic.
G'day, how are we all going?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good.
Good to hear.
Magic Mike.
How's everybody doing?
Just Andy. Father George.
Go fuck yourself.
There you go. And Ed Greywolf.
Hey guys.
Hey. And this is Hefe. So, like I said, anybody else would care to join us? We'll be glad to have you. And I guess anybody have any opening thoughts? I do have the only slide I want to show tonight, because I think we did a lot of explanation on the Wednesday show, is how we see this new Tier 7 Conqueror technology working, and how to take how to understand it and how potentially to take advantage of it. The only slide I have tonight deals with outstanding questions that I don't think were addressed by GD Rakin's post. So, but yeah, I'm happy to hear anybody's opening topics and whatnot, and we'll eventually get to that.
Well, I got one. It's been answered, but I had that question when I first heard about the pass-through. Now, like I said, I have that's been answered and I know now. But the question was: is the pass-through for every plate of armor that you add, or is it, it doesn't matter how many you've got? That's the pass-through.
Yeah, that should be the.
Yeah, that's funny because people are reporting that it's stacking and it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be just the highest of the pass.
I have a video of that that Hosh was kind enough to donate to us.
Of someone testing for the.
Were they testing
it was
or
just something we noticed?
Okay, I've seen this video before.
So his king takes no damage, and then for some unknown reason just immediately dies.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's the video I sent you a couple hours ago, George.
Oh yeah, I haven't set. What was the onslaught shooting at?
I don't even know.
Because it looks like it's shooting down at the bottom first, right? And then
it kills the two ships there. It just drives off, and then the Morts just shred it.
But does he have? But did Holsch have the armor on those? Did he have the new armor on that?
I have no idea, but
I don't think that he does.
It shouldn't take all the damage at the start. Like nothing's happening at the start. And then he just melts.
Yeah, it's a weird video. The other thing that you'll notice on that is if you.
It's also playback. I mean, the thing is, I've seen.
No, I watched the hit myself in live time. That is exactly what happened.
Those other two died at the same time as that one was, because the other two look like. Play it one more time. I just want to check something real quick because I was staring at the King's Writ instead of everything else.
Yeah, the other weird thing it appears to happen when the glacial field hits. And the other odd thing is that Onslaught appears to have V rockets on it, and it's not the new mortar.
Oh, there's reasons for that I won't go into.
Okay.
So nothing's taking damage. and
Right
then all of a
there,
sudden
yeah.
takes-
See right
Okay,
there.
I guess
it
it is
takes,
before
and then,
yeah.
I mean,
No,
it
guess
looks.
is before the glacial, yeah.
What was? Do you know what was on the onslaught?
That's right. It appears to be one new mortar and the rest of her V rockets.
It looks more like the Morts are doing it, to be honest.
The mort from the slush
Yeah.
Yeah,
outside.
but you'd see the Hope getting whacked too.
The Morts really aren't doing anything until he gets this killed. Is that where
But
they killed?
if you watch the health bar, it's red. Then it goes, the red goes away, and then it dies. Like right now, and then bang, kaput. Of that first, the closest gamma that it drives by.
Yeah.
I've been seeing that effect specifically with the new Morts, specifically with the Hope as well, where you'll be doing no damage in a huge chunk and no damage in a huge chunk again. So there's definitely something in there that doesn't
that.
work mathematically, but
Hit-
is happening.
Hit that one more time. I'm wondering if, because I know that people have been reporting that the Hope had some sort of friggin' glitch before with the healing, but I don't see it healing. What's the range on the healing?
Well, the Hope shouldn't heal the.
I understand that. That's not what I asked.
Yeah.
What's the range of the healing?
The healing will take all of them ships.
No, he went to another range, but he's definitely in range.
I'm talking about? I'm looking at the back two ships because I don't see that Hope.
That Hope will definitely heal them too.
Okay,
no doubt in
so why is it not healing that back corner one? Something's glitchy. That whole hit is just fucked.
It only heals at 75% health, which that is just above. As soon as it gets below,
there it goes.
back
Okay,
up,
so
yeah, you saw it heal it. Yeah,
but I didn't see anything come off of the Hope. Huh. That's weird. That whole thing's jacked up.
Yeah, whatever's going on there is quite glitchy, but I don't think it's because I don't think Hulsh has the. I think he would know better than to put that armor on the King's Foot.
I don't know. I mean, I know people have been reporting that they've tested it and that seems like it's been stacking the 360. So the more armor you put on, the more damage you're taking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I mean, I don't know. Like to test that would be a pain in the ass. You have to have a blank hull, another hull with just one weapon with one damage type, and then put on no armor, then one armor, and then two armor to. I don't know. That's just jacked up.
Yeah. I mean, it's
these are the types of things that they need to be able to test in game before they release it. I mean, I know way back in the day they used to, and that's why everyone was like, "Oh, hackers and da. And then the hackers actually went, "Hey, there's new stuff in the game. Let's figure it out, right?"
Mm-hmm.
But now that they have everything server side, I mean, dude, put some devs in the game somewhere and have them test the shit a couple of days before. No shit.
Yeah, but can they just release it just to that? I get maybe.
Yeah, they can release it. I mean, if you haven't earned it yet, then you're not going to be able to use it.
Yeah, because like we see all the stuff in the shipyard in the update.
Yeah, because I mean, there's other games that do that they have people that test it, a couple days before its release to make sure it's not glitchy. I mean, just do that. I mean, we'll understand. We're not going to get pissy if there's a Kixeye fucking dev on the game testing crap out. We're going to be like, yeah, awesome. I mean, hell.
Yeah. So, that was. But I don't. Like I said, I don't think Hulsh will be on momentarily, but I don't think he has any of the new armors or anything that's at 360 on that fleet. It was just on his defense fleet.
Well, the mortar has a minimum damage of 360 as well.
Yeah. We'll ask him what's on his fleet. For concussive, and I don't think he was doing concussive. He wasn't being dealt concussive damage at that point in time. The only weird thing that potentially happens is maybe somebody's using something like chaos mortars or something else, and once he hit them with something, basically he wasn't defending against it. But that still wouldn't. I don't think chaos mortars would be doing that much, because chaos mortars would be another one that would take advantage of this. But
no, it's mainly the new mort. I've seen it a couple of times in my own base hits. It's something's not right with the mort.
You think maybe it has? I mean, the only thing that is it has small amounts of the other damage types that we're not seeing, but who knows? That would
Could
cause
be really high crits.
Yeah. Which, speaking of which, let me go to the one slide I wanted to go over, because that's one of the questions that.
Chaos Mort would hit that 360 on 3 different. No, wait a minute. Hold on, I take that back. It would only hit the 360 on the explosive damage. Everything else would be the. See, this is where I'm having issues, because what they posted today.
It depends what it depends what the other specials are. By itself, yes, but depends on what it was put on and what the other specials are.
Are you going to load up your specials on a mortar hull with ballistic damage and penetrative damage specials?
I don't know. I have on my my Justice, I have corrosive and concussive, and on a ballistic hull. But yeah,
for use in base hitting.
No, use in defense.
Right, and I'm saying if a base hitter is coming at you, you're saying to use it as a in defense.
That's saying what I did prior to this whole 360 pass-through thing. I had a ballistic hull with narrowed firing aperture and then strike warheads and things like that. Yeah, with the but it doesn't matter anymore. But I had that going on with my ballistic defender hull to take advantage of overcome some old deflections. And it would take out King's Ritz and.
I mean, you would have to take this Chaos Mortar, and to get all 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, to get all 4 damage types, you would have to put in a radioactive damage special, a penetrative damage special, and a ballistic damage special. That's 3 specials. How many specials we got?
On a slot that doesn't need much more, but it's not really a suggestion. I'm just trying to figure out why that turned out to look like such a mess, and that's just one potential idea as far as why it looked that way. I'm not suggesting anybody do that, because right now I think a lot of the strategy's been taken out of trying to take advantage of damage specials in the game, but. Here's a couple of questions that maybe we can go through. These are my questions on pass-through that I don't think were directly addressed by GDR. We've all jumped to the assumption, and I think it's been fairly well proven out, that multiple damage types within a single projectile are going to be a multiplier as it relates to the pass-through.
Only if it does more than 360 damage. Apparently, I'm not even 100%.
Not more than 360. It's still going to do.
The projectile itself has to do more than 360 to activate that 360.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would do whatever the value is.
Right. We think.
Yeah, we think that's another. That's the last question. Whether pass through is the ceiling.
And that's weird, because in his post and before, it's always been pass through or minimum damage always triggers when the damage hits 0. That's like the triggering event.
Mm-hmm.
But now, instead of going, okay, well, minimum damage gets hit, you go to minimum damage, right? Because that's how it would logically make sense to program it. Now it's like, okay, you hit the minimum, you hit 0. Minimum damage activates, but hold on, it's not minimum damage unless the actual projectile damage is more than the minimum damage. So it's like it adds this layer of complexity again, and kind of goes against the grain of what we were told before. I don't know. And what he posted in his post in the forums. Like I just want stuff like, why can't they just be clear, concise, and consistent? That's what I would like to know.
Yeah. I like tables and charts. That was way too many words, but I just don't think some of these things were addressed. Ship DPS. The Hope has 10,000 ship DPS. I assume we haven't had any clarification on this. I just assume that's not part of this. It's just doing that 10,000 DPS the way it normally would, and it ignores these high deflection values. And it's not really a change, but it's just the assumption that, you know, I'm going with right now.
Wait, what's the question?
Ship DPS. It just like it hasn't changed. There's no, it's like the 10,000 ship DPS on a Hope. It's still doing that 10,000 ship DPS, no matter what your deflection is or whatnot. It's just going. Boom.
No, I always thought that was just added to your damage calculation. That's why they made that whole spiel about if your salvo rate or whatever is, once every 2 seconds, the DPS added onto that is doubled.
So it added on as the damage types that you're firing?
Oh, I don't know.
See, what I consider this
now
like
that
plasma. Plasma is what I'm thinking when I hear ship DPS.
Oh,
and it's not a damage type that's addressed by any of these armors or technology. We don't have deflection against it, so I'm assuming this is not impacted. So, so you understand what I'm talking about now, right?
Yeah. No, and that actually brings up more questions now.
Okay. All right. The other thing is damage over time. I'm assuming a lot of people have actually seen something like the Synquisitor, the Sinful Scattergun encounter some of these ships. I haven't seen it happen. If you've watched damage over time, it appears to be, if you look at it, it appears to be doing, I'm not talking about this particular hull or these armors or anything like that. But if you've watched damage over time, it appears to be something that happens smoothly. It's not huge chunks. It either appears to happen smoothly or just little baby chunks of damage that are occurring very quickly. So that makes us jump to the assumption, at least it makes me jump to the assumption that it's damage occurring every 0.2 seconds. And so we have to assume that it's 0.2 seconds. It's doing 360 in total, or I'm assuming it's not. It would be probably be very noticeable if it was doing that 0.2 second damage in some sort of stack ways. Like if you have 20 stacks. Are you doing damage 20 times every 0.2 seconds? Or are all those 20 stacks combined into one and you're doing damage once every 0.2 seconds? Is that sort of clear on, or does that muddy things?
If we take the Adder turret for an example and run a boulder in with no armor, the boulder after a couple of shots will start taking quite a lot of damage quite quickly. It doesn't look like it's stacking into one solid damage. It looks like it's taking the damage almost split into 1 second intervals for each hit. So if the first one lands 0.5 seconds after another one lands, they'll be doing damage every 0.5 seconds. So
and
it's not stacking together, it's just taking you down faster. The same with the gluts. If you see gluts hitting repeatedly, if you zoom into your ship, it doesn't doesn't have really high deflections against it. You can see it going down, and where the shots are landing on the same time, you'll see a jump, but when they're hitting in intervals, you'll see it just move smoothly. So to me, it looks like it's not hitting in one big chunk, but hitting in second intervals, sort of after the shots landed.
Okay, so you're talking about after the point in time that, like, after the target ship has left the range of whatever's creating the damage every time. So it's not taking new damage. You understand what I'm saying?
If
the
you hit it
stacks aren't
once-
being added, and they're not taking new damage.
If you hit it once, it's going to interval the damage over a certain length of time. But hitting it twice will not stack the interval. It will just create two intervals. If you
Okay.
understand that. Did that make
Think
any
so.
sense to anyone?
I think so. You get it, George or Holsch?
I just got here, so.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think so. These are just sort of questions that I have. And there's something that George brought up as far as bullet 4 that I'm not sure is still relevant in the game anymore, is the pass-through value of an incoming projectile. Because on the Wednesday show, you were discussing whether the weapon has a pass-through value and how that works.
That is a very interesting one. Very specifically, if you take the muddle, for example.
Mhm.
Muddle, in theory, if you're taking it where the 360 pass-through value is taken per projectile, you're with 4 muddle guts, you're doing what, 480 projectiles? You don't take the mathematical damage that you should. You take much less from tests that I've seen.
Okay.
It doesn't look like it's per projectile. It might be per salvo.
Okay, so they're not, maybe MIRVs aren't working the way that the normal salvos do?
From the test that I saw, it didn't look like it. I
Okay.
did the math for it, and it didn't look anywhere near what it should have.
Okay. All right. And then the pass-through value, I mean, this isn't something that, this is what we talked about on Wednesday quite a bit. The pass-through value of deflection technology on the older stuff. We have our guesses, and we've been given examples by Kickside that appear to be extremely high relative to what we've seen in the game previously. Because we were given an example of an older technology having a pass-through of 100. And I'm just waiting. GDR did say he would provide this. They would hope to provide this information inside the blueprints, but I think it would be very helpful to the players to actually see that the number is not 100, so they can better understand the strategy to deal with a pass-through of 360. So
yeah, it took quite a long time, to read the document that he posted, but also to sort of get the grips of what he was trying to say, and that's for a group of players who really know what they're looking at, what most things mean. For us, it was still rather confusing. So I really feel for anyone who's not so clued into the game, I suppose.
Dude, even those, if we're gonna be like those of us that understand the game, quote unquote, I mean, hell, we have questions after reading that damn thing, and then other stuff that's put up.
I think
that's
I
crazy.
argued for about an hour about what was going on before I gave up. It really needs. I don't want to say more clarification, but it does need more clarification. I understand that he's tried to make it informative, but it's sort of twisted in a way which is rather confusing.
If you take it as an article just about the new armor, I mean, it's still, even still, it leaves questions because, you know, then the outside edge questions start coming in and no one has an actual answer. And we have no way of actually getting an actual clear, well-defined answer. And we have to wait now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then the next question was critical hits. Are critical hits changing anything? Because you know, historically, we've seen issues with the Epic Cat Mortar, causing things that don't make sense as far as the math goes with critical hits. Is it doing anything at all with these pass-throughs?
Hell if I know. I don't know that we've ever actually gotten a clarification on critical hits. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, hell, some people, like, you know, especially with the Epic Cat, we're still wondering, does it just ignore deflections entirely? Does it go straight to the hull? I mean, what the hell? I don't know. And I hate saying that. Like, I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out this damn game, and to go, I don't know, kind of frustrates me.
Yeah, I've spent a few days heading with this hull, and I still don't understand.
Yeah, and go ahead, Venom.
I've tested multiple things, multiple different ways. Still no conclusive evidence for anything.
Okay. And the last question I had is, you know, the one that George has had, is the pass-through value that we see a ceiling, meaning that if, let's say you have some of the older technology that's only doing 150 damage per salvo. All right. Who is it? All right.
Ed Greywolf.
All right. That was.
Sorry, I guess evidently I was rustling some paper and I was too close to my microphone.
That didn't sound like paper. It sounded like pots and pans, but
Cover.
yeah. But it's pass through a ceiling. What I mean by that is if you have a pass through of 360 and you do 150 damage to that, are you doing 360 damage or you're doing 150 because you haven't exceeded the pass through value? We're not even talking about the deflection value. We're talking about the pass through value. So if you're doing little micro damage, like you would do with, like, you know, some of the old, chain guns or torrents, or even like you know, rippers, or you know, old stuff. You know, are you doing 360 every time they hit? Or are you doing whatever the value of that damage would have been if there was no deflection or armor there at all? So,
from my understanding, at least, you'll be doing the damage that your projectile shows up to the point of 360.
Yeah, that's the way I always thought of it.
Above 360 until you breach the deflection. And then you'll be doing 360 plus whatever damage over the.
No, if you breach deflection, there's no pass through at all. Pass through is supposed to be minimum damage. That's why I'm having an issue, because it's supposed to be something that is triggered. Like when damage reaches 0, the trigger happens, minimum damage is applied. I mean, that's how it's always been explained. The problem is now is that we don't know if that's minimum damage 360 or minimum damage up to whatever the projectile is, the lesser of the two, which is not what Raken said in his post either. Because you don't get 360 no matter what. That's not how that works. It's never been like that. You don't get pass through unless you trigger to 0. At least that's how it used to be in the past.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, I think it's a good question because we've come up with 3 different answers. Personally, I think you do the projectile damage, you know, in the example that I gave, if you do 150 damage and your pass through is 360 and your deflection is 1,000, you're going to do 150. If you do 300, let's say you do 500 damage, and then you have a pass through of 360 and a deflection of 1,000, you're going to do 360. If you do 1,001 damage, with your deflection being 1,000 and your pass through being 360, you do 1 damage. That's the way I see it, and it seems like you both have different ideas.
The funny thing is that last one I've gotten 2 different answers about as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I'm getting frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd think it would be 361.
No, the minimum pass through is the way it's always been described in the past and explained in the past, and from the dark sites that have reported things, right? The minimum damage is it's a floor value.
Okay.
You have a floor value. So if you hit 0, this happens. You have a minimum damage of, like, the old one was, I think penetrative was 9, right? Originally, way back in the day, a missile's minimum damage was 9. And I know that's going back, what, 4 years now, Hefe?
Yeah,
something like that. I mean,
and that's the question I had. Is that I don't think that's the way they do deflection anymore. You know, when we brought it up on Wednesday, I don't think. You're talking about pass through as it relates to
minimum damage, yeah.
Assault deflection and siege deflection, right?
Just in general.
They
before deflections ever happened, there was always a minimum value number.
Dealing with resistances.
Even with resistances. I mean, when deflections came up, it was possible to hit 0, and that's when you got the floor value. But before that, even with resistances, I'm pretty sure you still had that floor value. So if you could get a resist all the way up to get a missile under 9 points of damage, it would still do 9 points of damage.
Yeah.
You know.
I understand that.
Maybe part of the problem is that, you know, they've done something new, or they've redone something, or as they started doing the deflection stuff, they started programming their own crap. But the problem is that players have been around longer than them, and we remember how it's supposed to be, or the way it's been before, you know. And if you're going to change a mechanic, you've got to tell us, because we're relying on what we know.
Except for, where did we get that information?
I would rather not comment on that.
Yes, right. But what I'm saying, that was not information that they ever released. But I guess you could determine that through testing.
It did. Well, it did cause us to do a lot of testing, and it did also cause some discussion about it. I think there actually was, like, was it Doom or Robot? One of them actually came out and said, yeah, there's a minimum damage value. And it was like in the forums, and, you know, not so much in other areas. So, it did cause people to have a discussion, and it did come out through KIXEYE. I just don't know. I don't think they've ever given us actual values before. This is the first time they've actually given us a value. But the whole concept of the minimum damage and stuff has been discussed by Kix before in the past.
Yeah, minimum. Yeah. And it's, and I think we're probably getting too far afield for the live broadcast, but yeah, there's a good chance that pass through and minimum damage are different animals. And maybe deflection. Yeah, we don't know, because if they've gotten rid of those minimum damage numbers or stopped updating them, and they are, like you're talking about, 9. It's so much in the noise at this point that we would have a hard time really determining that at this point. But I think this is more, I don't know. What do you think? It sounds more like after show fodder. If the current developers don't even pay attention to it, and it hasn't been updated since, you know, it had such low values of 5, 9, 12. Those values are still in play. Maybe they have maybe they do factor in, but I don't think I don't think we know enough about it to really to talk about it at this point.
back then, didn't they have issues with certain weapons that pass-through value wasn't applied, and then they had to go back through and make some changes to a few things too?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that
The
I'm aware
minimum
of.
damage. Okay.
You would have to give me an example to.
Well, it's been a couple years ago, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I took off that slide. How's everybody else's experience been with Rum? How are you doing? Have you been hit by the onslaught?
Yeah, of course. I've been walked just like everybody else has.
I see. All right.
I'm
Did you learn-
frustrated. I'm so frustrated with the game right now. It's not even funny. Everything they do adds a level of complexity, even when trying to make it simple.
Yeah, and I do understand. Like I said before, this was even before I knew this passed through a 360. There was going to be a really rough transition period.
But my point here, Jeff, is the guy that wrote this, that added this to the game, even what he says is not exactly what's happening. This is the man that's going to be in charge.
Mm-hmm.
So if what he says we can't trust, who can we believe?
Well, again, though, I think that goes back to what have they done and what our expectations are, because we've been here longer. I mean, let's be honest.
You know what my expectation is?
we've
when
been-
they introduce something, it should work.
Okay,
It
maybe
shouldn't take 10 years to explain it to us.
Rum.
Yes.
Can I finish?
Well, as long as you stay on point and not try to cover for him, sure.
I'm not trying to cover for him. I mean, if I want to cover for him, let's be honest. He's taking a shit show away from someone else and trying to fix it all.
Exactly.
Right? And that's fine. I didn't say that. What I'm saying is it because of our expectations? Because we have been here longer than them. There are times when we know the mechanics of the game better than they do. Like
I agree.
STS, for example, we all presumed that what we learned earlier from 3-4 years ago was accurate. You go into a fire field, you get a resistance buff for the radioactive damage. Now all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, we looked at it and you don't. We did an entire raid set like 2-3 years ago that we were told straight up, use this special because of all the fire fields and the reaver targets. Okay? I mean, can't get much clearer than that. And
No,
it took
right.
them 3 years to figure that out. But the catch is if they had come out and said that and we didn't have an expectation because we hadn't been around as long as they had, that's one thing. But we already had an expectation because, damn it, we knew how it was supposed to work, which is much like this. We have an idea of how it's supposed to work. We have an expectation. If they've changed something, right, and they can, fuck it. It's their game. They want it. They have to rebalance it. Well, I don't give a fuck what the reason is. But if they fucking change something, they have got to communicate the change. They gotta.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you whatsoever.
I mean, the rest of it, I still would like to know, is it working right? And I think that goes back to what I said before. Put some game devs in there, give the shit to the game devs a couple days ahead of time, and let them test the shit live. I mean,
But I think
come
that's
on.
half of the problem is they don't know how this stuff works.
Well,
And so
you
how
know,
can they tell us how it works if they don't know?
the other thing is a lot of other games, there's a lot of other games that test stuff live in game for a reason, because the test environment is never the same. Never, ever is it the same. And other companies have acknowledged that and do that. They put the stuff in game and have it tested. Unfortunately, we don't. And I think that's part of the issue, because like Siege Battery 4, I mean, shit, we knew that it was busted over a month ago now. And when they tested it, they're like, oh no, it's working, it's working, it's working, until someone tested it finally in the fucking game and went, oh, it's not working. Surprise.
You know, it'd be nice to throw this up as a poll. if they introduce something into the game, do you expect it to work right? Or are you prepared for it not to work and let's figure it out?
At this point, I can almost guarantee you every single person in the game is going to go, oh, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt until I know for sure.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that way. Go buy a Ford and tell me that it doesn't run right.
Isn't that expected?
No, it's not. Every time I buy a car, I expect it to get me where I want to for as long as I need it to.
But it's a Ford.
Doesn't
a
make
Ford,
any
yeah.
difference. I drive it. I don't drive a Holden. I drive a Ford.
Hard to be nice.
I am being nice.
Well, and even a lot of companies, they allow it out as a beta testing or alpha testing, and give certain people at least a heads up that, hey, this might work, this might not work. We're still testing it before we release the final version of it. They don't even do that.
No.
That could be a start anyway.
I mean, dude, there is at least, I want to say there is probably at least 1,000 users still that have been around since, 2011, right? I mean, they could randomly pick 5 players that are at X level or have X amount of technology or whatever and go, hey, here's this for a couple of days, go test it. And then take it back. I don't give a shit. Just do something, but get it tested. Test it live in the game. I don't care.
Or give them a secondary base. Give them a secondary base that has no influence on their base. And say, here, go through it.
But players would end up playing that account only.
And we would run over and just crush ROM every couple of hours.
Uh-huh.
No, but I mean, for like a limited time, give them a base for a week and say, here, go at it.
Yeah, no, see that, I don't know. Anytime that players are involved, I kind of really shy away from it because there's been some really bad backlash from past stuff. That's why I just say, just put the devs in. Give them the base, go, hey, this is GD, whatchamacallit, and make the base a different color, for fuck's sake. It's a KIXEYE base, right? People can hit the hell out of it, whatever, I don't care. But if you see stuff coming out of that base, you don't go, oh, it's a hack or da-da-da. It's a KIXEYE base, great, they're testing. Spend the damn time to test it in the live environment instead of the test environment.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's still, it would be nice if they did. And, I'm sure they can hire somebody that's, done this before. No, I'm not trying to be critical of your idea. I'm just saying this shouldn't be happening, and I agree with that. Just that they need to have people that know how to do the QA necessary, and the methods to do it inside of the game is.
I'm pretty sure they have the people that know how to do it. It's that they're doing it in the wrong environment. That's the catch.
And when you got multiple layers upon layer, that's, any little thing could cause a problem someplace else. And the only way to find that out is, like you said, be in the actual environment where it's used all the time, not just in a hidden server that is not affected by all the other oddball things that could possibly happen, combinations of weapons, combinations of shields, any number of things that could change.
And that's why I want them to have bases. Like, that's why I want KIXEYE to have bases in the game to do the testing, because honestly, like someone's reported, a couple of people have reported that damage to 360 is stacking for every armor that you put on, right? Well, have someone go into the game and test that, because I don't want to spend the fucking gold to do it anymore. I want someone else to come in and actually test the crap. Either that or I'll test it, but then you're gonna have to reimburse me for the damn gold. Something.
Yeah, I mean, the other way to do it is we used to always call the KIXEYE test environment Sector 0, but if they actually created a Sector 0 that was within the game environment, but KIXEYE would have to place the base there into Sector 0. In Sector 0, the only difference between Sector 0 and 1 through 500 was the fact that KIXEYE had to place your base there. That seems like a much better test environment than to have a test environment outside of. So it would get all the same updates. It would get all the same treatment. that the other 500 sectors got, but it was done in Sector 0. But the only way it could be done is with an admin move, or a Kixeye would pick up a base that was somewhere else and either clone it. I know cloning is a bad word, but copy the base and put it in Sector 0, and nobody else could go into Sector 0.
Yeah, that would work too.
Yeah, and that would be invisible to the player base and not impact the player base, except for people be able to test in that, in the actual live environment. So.
I don't know. It just gets really disheartening with every introduction. There's more problems. Every introduction, every change, every update.
Yeah. I mean, it's a transition. It's a transition period. That's all we got to say. I think once, GDR's vision of Tier 7 comes about and everybody has the Tier 7 halls, Tier 7 turrets, and things of that nature, this will be a very, very, very simplified game. So, yeah. And it's just this transition period is going to be rough, and they sort of need to rush through it in some sort of way. By providing turrets to the players that don't have 26-day build times. Don't drag out when we get defenders and the weapons that go with them, and somehow condense this so it's not as complicated for this period of time. So I don't know. That's my thoughts on it.
One of George's favorite terms is a player coming into the game and becoming relative. How long does it actually take for somebody, I don't know, a level 50 to become relative in the game now?
Varies greatly, depending on how much time they play and how much help they have.
So let's give them an average of 4 hours a day, which is to me a rather large amount.
Look, before you go on a whole tangent on this, and I don't know how much trouble I'm going to get into this, but I've been pushing about that for months and months, and it's actually it's getting looked at. It's actually getting looked at.
Good. That would be a good thing.
Hopefully,
if you were to tell somebody that's new, hey, it's going to take you 30 days to build this turret that's going to have a chance to stop it, but oh yeah, you need 20 of them.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, and I kept really frustrated seeing this in the forums a lot, especially from a couple of particular members that I shall not name, but they're like, oh, well, when we got on, it took us this and that, or it took us like a year and blah, blah, blah. And dude, you can't have a new player to a game, especially in nowadays, in today's sort of environment. You can't have someone come in and go, oh yeah, dude, don't worry about it. It's going to take you 6 months to kind of like see where you're going in the game. Fuck it. No one's going to fucking do that.
You're right.
No one is going to do that.
George, you and I agree on a lot more than we disagree, and I absolutely agree with you. It's just crazy. You couldn't introduce somebody to this game and have them ready to play at its current pace in what, a year?
Well, the other problem I think associated with the becoming relevant is one thing, and there's also, they don't really develop a lot of new content for those players. So we're looking at, they're dealing with 3 or 4 year old content is potentially part of the issue with early player retention or new player retention. They're not looking at what's going on now. So they're not just in a level vacuum. They're in like a time warp.
Tech vacuum. Yeah.
Well, he even admitted it on one of the other shows that they were not looking at the new people. They were looking at the existing people and trying to figure out how to keep them.
Well, I think he actually said that they had been like in past tense. Like that was one of the issues of 2017. They were not looking at, and I don't even think, let's be honest, I don't think they were actually even looking at the majority of the players of the game. I think they were just looking at the top end people who more than likely are the coiners of the game, right? And that is an issue because, you know, like I said before, if you're going to be a fisherman, right? You're Kixeye, you're the fisherman. You want to get bass, you want to get that money. Well, if you keep on fishing the bass and you don't do anything for the minnows, and the minnows all die out, there's not going to be any bass to fish.
They're going to move on to a different lake.
They're just going to die.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, you know, I think that, I don't know if he was trying to acknowledge that. If I'm remembering that show right, I think he kind of spoke in past tense, which was like an acknowledgement maybe that, yeah, we fucked up, without saying, yeah, we fucked up, right?
Yeah.
2017, I'm sorry, it was shit. I mean,
Well, the way it
2016
came across,
was good, and then we had 2017. It was fucked.
George?
yeah, the way
2018
it came
hasn't started off any better. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
Well,
and we're seeing
We're
comparing.
kind of
chat-
doing a reset too, and I think we keep on talking over Wolf. I don't know what he was trying to say.
Well, I was just going to say that the way he came across, it seemed like it was like, but you know, why? We're not worried about that right now, and which is kind of sad because if you don't worry about that now, they're not going to be there in 6 months or a year or 2 years.
Their bigger problem is they lose some of the higher end coiners. They're not going to be there anyway.
Well, that's true too, but they can't just focus on just them.
I think that they're gonna. Yeah, no, I think they're gonna try and find some sort of good balance. I think that's one of the things that I would hope that they're going to look at going forward. But again, you know, it was a mess, and to right the ship, so to speak, is probably going to take more than a couple of weeks, you know. And then after that debacle of a first raid to boot, and then we have an FM change coming up. I mean, I don't know if they maybe have too much stuff on their plate too. Somebody might want to look at that, because that first raid was fucking stupid.
Yeah, I thought he said something about he doesn't want to focus on the new players and get them into a broken game. He wants to fix the game first and then get the new players in. I think that's what he said, or something in that line.
Did he say that? Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's how it came across. It just came across like that was a secondary thing, and
So
I guess I can see that to a point.
So what he said essentially was he's prioritizing fixing the game first, and then he's going to go on to the second, which it is a secondary problem, because if the game doesn't get fixed, there's not going to be a game for players to come to.
That's what he basically said. Yeah.
Well, and it's a time thing too. I mean, if he's going to do it that way, he's got to do it quickly.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier, was the fact that, you know, once we start seeing the new turrets and the new defenders and things like that, they need to be, they can't, you know, the turrets can't have a 27-day build time or 26 in the change, because, you know, Roberta's in chat is on one side of it. She's, you know, she has the onslaught. She's like, I'm bored because my onslaught can just, you know, click to the back of the base and kill Rum's base. And then Rum's like, I'm tired of, you know, getting run over. You know, Viper said the same thing. I don't, you know, they need to strike a balance. And so they need to make this transition period faster instead of slower. They should have had a TLC out this week that had something that would at least scratch the onslaught.
Well, you know what? I think the problem is that they're trying to do a quote unquote reset or whatever the hell they want to do, right, with the tier 7 stuff. But they should have done it I think they should have done it slower progression. That way there's still value in the tier 6 hulls. The people that are trying to catch up and start getting them, like I just got, you know, someone just got prides in the last bounty, right? Well, shit, it's going to be fucking useless. Why even bother, right? Instead, what they should have done is made like these armors should not have been as powerful. Take a smaller step going forward. And take some time and go, okay, well, you know, the first quarter we're going to do 7s, and then in the second quarter we're going to do 7.3 4 or 5, and then third quarter it's going to be 7.7, and then quarter 4 you do 8s, something like that. Just do a slow progression rather than like jumping in with both feet.
But they've already made this jump. They've already made this jump.
I understand.
I'm trying to like figure out like a way to move forward as opposed to, should they have?
Well, yeah, I mean now they're committed.
2.4 million, armor. Yeah, probably not in retrospect. But I'm saying moving forward, how to smooth things out is to release the technology that's on the other side of this. It's just not the how many people actually have the Onslaught and all the goodies that went with it, because you need 95,000, so it's not even 100 people that have that. A lot more people have the Onslaught than that, but probably
actually
a couple of hundred.
Hold on, is the leaderboard still on? Because without without my Nexus bonus, how do I find what do I do? Look up seasonal
leaderboard is global, and then go until you find somebody has 95,000.
So, I was at 85,000 before the Nexus, and the Nexus brought me up so I could get all the stuff, and I was at 145 globally with 84,000.
Okay.
So 150 or less, maybe.
Okay.
Well, you're assuming a full kit. I mean, you could actually get 3 boats, 1 CIC, and the special
for 65,000.
Yeah. So I mean, you didn't have to have. You don't have to have all 3 CICs.
No,
it would be 45 for that. 10 for the weapon is 55. 10 for the special is 65. So 75. So just 10,000 less than what I got. And I'm like I said, I'm at 145,000 at 84,000. I mean, I'm at 145 global with 85,000. And there's only like 4 alliances that really got, more that could sit on more than one Nexus, right?
Yeah.
So that's probably accurate. I mean, you're looking at 150-ish people that have the weapon, special, and hull.
Yeah, that's why I've more concentrated on both the Wednesday show and this show on the people that are using the 6.5s with the armor.
Right, because anybody can get the armor. Right, I get your point.
Yeah. I mean, so, but what I'm saying is the transition needs to be easier for players to retain the players, because a lot of people are getting upset, especially the people that are spending a lot of coins because they don't have a way to defend their base. And the people that do have the full kit and coined it out and built it, they're already getting bored crushing your base. So they needed to put this stuff in TLCs or something in a TLC, not something that's going to be as overpowering as the kinetic motion cannon, but they need to provide the stuff that's going to at least exceed deflection, at least provide some strategy going forward. And it shouldn't be an OP cannon. It should be a regular cannon that can fit on a level 8 with no specials and a level 9 with specials.
I think, but Hefe, I think the underlying issue is not so much this is the jumps that they keep doing. The jumps is what pissing people off. Like that's what's pissing off Kev, because his base went from being good to it's flat, right, in like 24 hours.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. This is a transition period. They need to smooth through this transition period. There should have already been a TLC.
It's too late for that, dude. They've already committed. It's too late. They already released the shit.
No, okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to move forward from the fact that they already released it. I'm not condoning that they released it. I'm just saying, as we move forward, they need to provide the technology on the other side of this. They need to provide the technology for the turrets and the defenders and whatnot, and not make them egregious build times, especially with the turrets, which is what we've seen historically. they need to do something like that so they can balance the playing field.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things they do is catered to the big corners, and a lot of the big corners are not happy, even though they have the onslaught. They just don't want to get their base keep on getting run over.
Let me clarify something. Everybody keeps thinking that I have a problem getting my base run over. I don't. I love getting my base hit because I love trying to learn. The problem is the changes are so fierce that you don't get a chance to keep up with where they're at before the next change comes in.
Mm-hmm. And that's why this was introduced. It was to minimize the swings. But at this point, we were having maximum swingage. They've taken a barbell and attached it to your parts, and it's swinging around all the time.
But that goes back to the points that I was trying to say. What they try to do never works. This whole we were supposed to be getting more simplified. We haven't. It's gotten complex by a factor of 10. We're supposed to have less swings. We didn't. We got a bigger swing by a factor of 10.
Mm-hmm.
So when they say we're going to do something, they can't even do what they say they're going to do.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, that's what I've been trying to say. I mean, this is a transition period, and they went with a radical change. And they went with a radical change. But the suggestions I was trying to make is how to make it smoother, faster, less problematic. That's all I'm trying to comment on. I mean,
Well, how are they going to go about making the turrets shorter build times? Because then they'd have to adjust the ones that were already spending, 20 whatever days minus base spots.
Well, because they consider certain ones elite and certain ones not. Certain ones can be built with base parts, and then they have the elite ones that you get elsewhere. I don't know.
What's going to stop whatever is going to stop this is going to be elite. I mean, I'm just saying.
No. Well, unless it's going to be tier 7, I don't know how they're going to do it. I mean, my situation. You're all turning me into, the Kixeye apologist, and
well, that's not what we're trying to do.
But it's you guys know the actual.
Kixeye finally got to you, didn't they? I knew it.
Yeah. They have all my children down in the basement with the gags and whatnot. But you understand. It's there's no reason for me to. I don't know. I need to go out and get another beer after that. Go ahead, Ed.
I was to say, one thing that could possibly help with the lower levels is to take the older TLCs and making them easier. For instance, the ones that they've been doing for the last 6 months, where you had to have the two new, the sub and the
Hunter.
Yeah, the Hunter, and make them easier so that you can actually get them with Hellrace and Tideseekers, like it says you're supposed to be able to do. But even putting in the best fleet, they're instantly killed. So they need a reality check as to what will and won't work. And when the TLCs get older, there's no reason why they can't dumb them down a little bit to make it easier for the lower levels to be able to start getting something that way.
That is a pet peeve of mine, of those things getting harder as they keep on getting re-released instead of easier.
And yet they still say, oh, well, you can use Hellrace and Tideseekers in this. Bullshit. Bullshit. Too many people have tried it, and there's videos. I know Ren did. He did an example of it. I tried one just yesterday or the day before, and it's like I put Hellrace in there, and it's like, even when I got into range, it's like ain't no way.
They almost need to make all the TLCs like because like they don't offer some of the TLCs enough. Like if you didn't have the Ironclad TLC before January, how many months was it since they were released on anything?
Well, and take the older ones and turn them into campaigns.
Yeah.
That way people have the option to do it as they can. Not go, oh, well, you want this weapon? Well, tough. You're not going to get it for another 8 months.
I'll disagree with that.
Just from everything else.
Yeah, I'll disagree with that just because I like getting tokens because I like messing around with builds. And if it was a regular campaign, I would never have the option of getting more tokens for whatever particular hold.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I like playing. That's one of the things that I love about the game is being able to play with the builds. It's one of the things that pisses me off about all the build times and shit.
True. Yeah. Well, maybe they need to just like offer all of those, like have every month have 1 or 2 week, have a 2 week period where they offer one TLC for every type of I guess 3: the skirmish, assault, and the not Garrison.
Chore. You're looking for the term chore.
Yes. Well, I don't think because probably the Garrison wouldn't be included in that because you can do the FM at any time. But just like all 3 of those types have like 2 week period where every month that TLC is going on. At least for the raid cycle that's not currently, at least get the older tech.
Well, and that allows it to get the older tech into people's hands. Because if it's not in their hands, they're not going to progress. If they're not going to progress, they're going to get tired of the game. And if they get tired of the game, they're just going to up and leave.
You know what? It's just not them.
It's true.
You know, I mean, it's getting to the point where it's too complex to make a decision. And when you have too many decisions and because of the lack of information, the lack of prints on or information on the blueprint, you make enough choices and it starts costing you more and more money.
We're still waiting on a clarification about the fucking raid. And it's next week, the week after next? And we don't know, is the A set going to be the same as the S set for the Buckies? Is the Buckies going to have to get changed from LA3 to friggin' CL3 now? Or is it going to be more ballistic in the A set and like to reflect the S target? What the fuck?
So let's assume that Rampage is Rampage and he's the guy hired for communications. Who has their foot on his throat to not let him communicate? Why did they give him a job that they're not willing to let him do? There are answers to these questions. They just don't want to give them. They know if it's going to work or not, but they don't tell us.
I wouldn't be so sure if there was answers to those questions, or if they know the answer.
There's an answer to the question.
I was about to say that. No, you know, I was about to say that. I don't know if there actually is an answer to those questions yet.
George, it's a black and white question. It's a flow chart. Does it work or not? There's not, well, it'll work in this instance, but it won't work in this instance. But if you add A and B and throw in C and divide by Z, then it might work a little bit. No, it either works or it doesn't.
What are we talking about?
What you were talking about, siege targeting.
I was actually talking about the A set and the S set disparity of the 2 builds between the Buckies.
The question started off as whether or not the siege targeting was going to work or not.
No. The question was we didn't have any answer on the raids yet and the disparity between those 2 targets. Because the Buckies are going to have to get changed. If you have a build, it's going to have to change to whatever the hell they're changing the targets to. Either the S, either layered 3 is going to keep on being good in the S target, or you're going to have to change to CL3.
Yeah,
Siege battery is another one that we should get a damn answer about when that's going to get fixed. But we already know that it's broken. We already have that answer. Yeah, it's busted.
Yeah, and they admit that it's busted. But yeah, it's when it's going to get fixed because it doesn't seem like doesn't seem like it should be that difficult of a fix because they already have the model of the frontline countermeasure system and the Garrison battery to figure out, okay, the only real difference between them is one went into the retro lab and one didn't. I mean, unless the retro lab is just, just something that we spend uranium on, it doesn't actually work.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how the hell we're going to test anything else out of that too? That's another one.
Yeah, it's. Oh my. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ram. I'm sorry, I didn't.
No, I was just saying it was deep and dark. You were talking about a well.
Oh, my volume's not working?
No, you're fine.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No,
He was making an analogy.
Okay. All right.
But don't forget, you got the VXP. They can't fix it. Otherwise, they would have by now.
They would have fixed it, but they took too long to fix it. Like they took too long to fix glitch repairing. Like they took too long to fix a lot of things. And once it becomes ingrained in the game, they can't fix it. But Siege Battery appears to be a fairly new thing that's been introduced to the game as far as underperforming. And I don't think the players are going to get up in arms if they fix Siege Battery to work like the way it says it's supposed to. So a lot of things they didn't fix because they were afraid of the lashback. But the Siege Battery, I don't think the players are going to get up in arms if they make the Siege Battery work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
All
One of
right.
those things, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even if they put Siege Battery in the lab with the first 3, I wonder if that would just be an instant fix.
All right. Does anybody have anything else that's good for live, or have we already shut our wad? Holes?
We could talk.
I'm sorry.
Go you
ahead.
go, Hefe. No, you go, Hefe.
No, earlier on, Viper was showing the base hit on Holsch's base, and there was a lot of confusion associated with it. He was trying to bring this into the 360 pass-through. You didn't have any 360 pass-through on your defensive fleet at that point, did you, Holsch?
No.
Okay, yeah. I didn't. It wouldn't have made sense, and I know you're smart enough player not to have put that on those halls. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that that wasn't the issue. That was just something that appeared to be messed up about. Yes, something we don't know. We don't know why that was happening in such a way. But yeah, it was not related to the new armors or the new mortar or whatnot. It was, it was just something that's a mystery. So
yeah,
I guess yeah. But it was messed up. But yeah.
Okay, just to steer the ship away from all this, the new targets that are out. Do we know anything about them? Are they gonna make them easier to hit than they were when I last heard?
I hope so, because the 35 gave me an hour of damage. Shit.
I'm sorry. Yeah. It's interesting that they didn't remove the 35. Like the 35's working fine. Yeah. I don't.
They removed on my map. They removed everything but the 75.
Okay.
The 75 spawning.
Okay. They said they were going to move everything but the 35, but I don't. I haven't even been looking for those targets. So yeah.
Oh, I think what they posted was that they were going to quote unquote rebalance the what was it, the 57 and the 75, whatever the hell it was. And I'm like, dude, the 35 on a fucking fully built hunter fleet just did an hour of damage to it. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think 75 is the only ones on the water, like you just said. I was looking earlier.
I should try autoing one and see what it does again. That was stupid damage last time.
Yeah, it wasn't an hour. It was like an hour and 40, right?
It was an hour and 40 for the 75, I think. When I did
No,
it
the
last time.
35. 35.
The
That's what we
35
had.
was an hour. The 35 was an hour. The 75 was an hour 40.
Okay, because I thought you did the 35 on the show.
No, I did the 75 live. After, because I had said that 35 did an hour, and you're like, what? And I was like, yeah. And someone else said something about the 75. I was like, I hadn't even tried it. I was like, fuck it, I'll try it right now. I was like an hour and 40 minutes of damage for the 75.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you could try it again, but yeah.
And the thing is, it pays less than the 75 on the map now, right?
They're supposed to pay the same. I hit that 135 on 35/45. I hit that one on auto with my hunters and got 40 minutes of damage, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. So yeah, I haven't experimented around with that. I don't have the coins or the time to be dealing with that kind of bullshit.
I mean, I noticed the glowing nav relays. Like I used to hit the 83s, and I hit one this morning for an hour and 38 minutes on auto, and then I hit the second one, and it was an hour and 47 minutes. So it between one taking an hour and hour and a half, let's say, and the other one only took 10 or 15 minutes. So how can it vary that much between one auto to the other? And it's the same target, same fleet, one after the other. It's just got different times all the time.
Wait. You're hitting an 83 on the map, and you're getting how much damage?
Well, the first on auto, that is. The first one, it was an hour and 38, I think it was, of damage. Then I hit the second one, and it went from an hour and 38 to an hour and 40 something, 49 or whatever it was. So it took an hour and a half.
In those targets, I can see it, but why are you taking that much damage, dude?
I don't know.
I'm autoing 85s for like 18 minutes to 18 to 30 minutes of damage.
Yeah, normally I do 83s for 10 minutes. Like the second one took 10 minutes damage, but the first one took like an hour and a half. And then the fifth or the sixth one I did took another hour or so. So it's not the same.
Oh, are you getting hit by the fireballs maybe?
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I didn't see it. It was just pure auto.
That might be it. And I still don't understand why those things are in those targets. Christ's sakes.
I'm just thinking that there's something wrong with the auto feature, across the board. Because you guys taking so much damage on the new target.
No, there absolutely is, because if you there are targets where if you don't go in and populate the damn target, you will take like 3 times the fucking damage. It's crazy. There is something, the AI when you auto is completely wonky, and I think. Was it Jeff? Was it the 75 or the 35 where my ship split into three different ways?
I think it was a 35, and I swear you took an hour and 40 minutes damage on that one. I mean,
no, that was the 75.
I can go back to the show, but I swear you told me you didn't show it. You just were talking about it, and I asked you to hit a 35, and then once you were done, you had taken like an hour and 40 minutes of damage.
No,
I didn't actually see.
It was definitely a 75 because I had taken screenshots too.
Okay.
Maybe I misspoke when I said the 35, the damage on the 35, but it was an hour on the 35 and it was an hour 40 on the 75.
Okay. Yeah, and I took 40 minutes, but I let it populate, and then I went in and then let it go. Then I took 40 minutes of damage, and I was not happy about that for the lowest target. And like we've talked about before, players with Tideseekers just get boom. They're just gone. They're not killing the target. They're not. They're not getting points. They're just ending up with, especially with the Harlocks, they're ending with close to 24 hours. They're ending up with like 22 hours of damage. trying to hit those targets.
But that is even when you drive and you click your fleet, you stack your fleet, and then you click from one point on the map to the next. All of a sudden, they'll sort of go, they'll scoot along the wall or the wherever they are, and then one will sort of weir out and then get back together, and then the whole fleet sort of strafe to the right where the target is. It's I don't know. It's just strange.
Yeah, there is definitely some funky driving stuff going on because I mean I've had in the raid actually a lot. This is on auto, granted, but I was watching it. It would they would go, they'd hit, and then they would go to hit something else, and like 3 of them would go like a half a ship further than the other 2. Sometimes they would stop and like 2 of them would do friggin' circle loop-de-loops while the others stayed and kept on firing. I mean, there's some weird shit going on in the game.
Yeah, I've had the same thing happen to me.
All right. Do we have much else that's good for the live show, or
I'm all out.
You're all out? Okay. Holsh?
Nah, I'm done.
Rum? Rum's off cooking a steak. Magic Mike? I don't know. Maybe they're together cooking a steak, which I'm not even sure what that means.
No, I don't have anything. I don't have anything.
Okay.
I was on double mute. Sorry.
Double mute. Okay.
Yeah,
George?
Mike.
George?
Show.
Fuck it. No.
I mean, there's stuff to talk about. I'm just trying to figure out if there's, because we're just sort of ranting at this point, the way I see it.
Well, Stumma's just beating a dead horse again.
Yeah. And Toxic? Yeah, Toxic, you already said you're out. So
actually, you know what? I actually do have something that I want to ask everybody.
Okay.
I do. I just, and this is just for other purposes that I'm doing for the FM, right? How long does it take each of you? And Jeff can go down the line and ask each person, but to just get the prize and the chests, not getting all the prizes, just a prize and a chest. How long do you think it actually takes you, including search time and everything, just in reality? How long does it take you to do the FM now? And how long did it used to take you before they changed to the 113/115/ whatever the fuck we're at?
Too long.
Yeah, it takes too long. I mean,
I want an actual time. Like, give me a guesstimate about how much time does it really honestly take? Because I've had some people like, dude, it takes me like 2-3 days now. I mean, honestly, I would like to know how long. And then how long do you think it would take you if you sat down and did nothing else, didn't talk to any of your alliance mates, didn't socialize at all, didn't do anything else? I mean, how long does it take? Because it used to take me less than 40 minutes to do both runs of the FM. And now I can't even bring myself to fucking do the FM because it takes so long.
Exactly.
It takes me days. And if I had to sit down and actually do it back to back to back to back, it would still take me hours because of the 115s and all that other stuff. But that's me. And I have a fleet that I can force through a lot of crap in the FM. So I'm kind of curious, everyone else, same question is like, I would like to hear how long does it actually take you to complete? How long if you had to sit down and do nothing but that, and then compare it to what it used to be before it changed?
I mean, personally, the way I run that target is it's lazy. It's really late. I mean, I'm not autoing it, but I'm watching TV. I'm talking on the phone. It's not like some of these other targets. I mean, because it's very, if you have two
Zealous.
Two Zealous. It's just sort of like click, and then I'll watch TV, and then I'll come back.
Right, but it's a chore, and it's one of the things that you have to do during the week for the amount of time.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, what I'm trying to say is, I don't have a good number, but it's not like any sort of.
Well, fuck you then.
Driving.
Skip you then.
Okay. All right.
I mean, shit.
All right.
I mean, I need some numbers because the thing is,
down to the half minute does it take you to do your FM?
That is not what I asked. That is not what I asked.
No, that's what I'm asking Host though. Host can come back with his answer, because he's got valuable time. He's spending time partying with Jimbo Fisher and Johnny Manziel, and we know Holsch's lifestyle. So I'm curious to see how long it takes Holsch, because
this is actually a legit question that I want answered, and now you're fucking with it.
No, but
Hey, George.
I'm fucking with Holsch, not with you. Holsch, how long does it take you, do you think, to do that target relative to the before we transitioned?
So is this to get like a 2.4 million, or how many millions exactly?
If you went through the whole thing to get all the chests and the one prize out of the tier, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long does it generally? How long does it take you to complete it? And then how long would it take you if that's all you fucking concentrated? If that's all you did in the game was that.
Okay, so it takes about 6 minutes to target. That's 300,000 per target. So if you were to hit them nonstop, that's 10 targets so an hour at minimum, and that's not moving your fleet around or doing any other stuff.
That's not what I'm asking. That's not what I'm asking.
And Holsch, you didn't include finding the 115s.
I'm saying your own gameplay. How long does it actually take you? How long do you think you could do it if you just did that? If you logged in tomorrow and FM started and you had something in tier 5 and something in tier 4 and you had to just sit and do that, right? About how long would it take you, and then how long does it really take you? And really in the game, I don't do it all in one day. I don't sit down and do it all at once. I will do it over the course of days because I just can't fucking bring myself to do it.
I kind of get forced into it because I don't start till the last day.
Okay. Holsch is waiting until there's plenty of targets, because a lot of players have the issue of not being able to find the 115s.
Yep.
And that's an issue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I would have started mine that very first day, but I couldn't even find a 115, so I didn't even start it. But I mean, probably 2 hours to do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I mean,
it sounds like a fair number. I mean, not that it sounds like a reasonable number. Not that that's what we should be doing, but it sounds like I wouldn't object to that number as being too high or too low, personally.
Yeah, I think that's too high, because that you have to do this.
No. You're not understanding what I'm saying is, I'm not disputing your number. I'm saying your number sounds good. I'm just saying that shouldn't be the way it should be occurring. It's too long as far as the flow of the game and whatnot. But I'm just saying that your number sounds reasonable, is all I'm saying.
Well, but let's also think that most of us here have top level bows to do it as fast as we can. You've got some people that can.
Right, but that's all I'm asking, Rum.
Hey,
for you, how's this, Rum? How long does it take you to actually do the FM?
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I started a target close to when we were doing it, and it was 15 minutes. I'm at 11 minutes and 50 seconds right now, and I'm about halfway done.
With your entire FM?
No.
One target.
It depends upon how much you have to clear. I mean, what do you consider done? Every single prize taken?
Just one prize and all the whatever you need to do to get just the chests.
Okay, it took me 4 minutes. It took me 4 minutes to find a 115 that hadn't been hit.
Fuck me, dude. Does it take you a couple of days because you don't want to do it? Does it take you a couple of days because you have problems finding shit? If you could sit down and do it, will it take you like 2, 3, 4, 5, 12 hours?
Which probably
fucking make simple question.
George.
Go for it, Mike. Maybe somebody's figured out the fucking thing. Go ahead, Mike.
Before the transition in the old days when we had the reset and go and do it, it used to take me a couple of hours. Okay, I could do the first one in about an hour and the second one, and I usually sit down and I just do it. So I don't mess around and do anything else. I just work hard at getting it done because I got to get shit off my plate. Now, after the transition to the 115s, I start right away, like right as soon as the thing hits the screen. And I'm thinking it's a good 4 hours solid. And I mean, that's no breaks, just, maybe a pit stop, but.
And
Yeah, 'cause I like to get 'em done,
that's
get 'em
going
off my
straight
plate.
on. It's 4 hours going straight on just to get the FM done.
Yep, because
And
I like to get
that's
it
not
done and get
taking
it over with.
right, but that's not taking like all 12 or all 10 armors and shit. That's like just the
That's just the chest, just to get the chest.
see.
Now the day that
That's the kind of fucking answer I want, guys. Right there. How fucking hard was that? God damn it.
Same thing for me.
Do you remember when they
I'm
put
doing
the?
same.
Remember when they had the multiple hydraulic resistors in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I still haven't gotten them all.
It took me 8 straight hours to finish that.
Fuck that. This is a game, dude.
I know, but I'm an old retired guy and I watch TV and I play the game and it's snowing outside and there's nothing to do. So if I'm watching TV, I'm playing the game. Summertime, a little different.
All right, Wolf. What about you? You started.
Yeah, mine's about the same. I used to be able to do that in a couple hours, and now I split it up into a couple of days usually, and I'm 3 or 4 hours. And that's just for the FM. That doesn't include, doing any uranium, any titanium, any of that other stuff.
Yeah. See, I mean, there are times I've not even finished the FM because I just can't. It's a pain in the ass to find the targets. It's a pain in the ass to do it, and I used to be able to do it inside of 40 minutes, easy. Not even trying.
Yeah, it used to be fun to see how fast you could get it done. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it actually made the chore kind of bearable.
Sure.
And I'm running three Zealous and 2 Monos. And I mean, I'm basically coming to a stop, destroying stuff, hitting the next spot, destroy stuff, hit the next spot, destroy stuff. No damage, but it still takes a long time.
The time requirement of the game is too much, which is what I was talking to you about last night. I don't want to work 40 to 60 hours a week and then come home and feel like I need to play 60 to 80 hours on my entertainment.
Or you got to do an hour or 2 every day in order to try to keep up or try to get caught up.
If you're only putting an hour or 2 a day and you're not keeping up.
There it was. The whole I got to keep up thing, right? And having to invest that much time, that's not cool. Right, having to. That's not cool. No. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like I'm trying to get that kind of idea of the time requirements for and the FM. The reason why I picked the FM is because the FM is a requirement. I mean, you have to do it. You can't skip it. Otherwise, you're throwing yourself way behind permanently almost sometimes. I mean, if you stop missing on those tokens, I mean, heaven forbid if you have to go on to like a job site or something that you can't access the game for like 2-3 weeks, you're fucked.
Well, and that's what they've counted into how long it takes for build times. They're expecting you're going to get all the tokens. They're expecting you're going to get all this done, all that done.
Yeah, where in the past the tokens were bonuses to play.
Exactly.
Now it's not. Now it's requirements. See, so Mike and Wolf could answer the fucking question. What the hell, guys?
It's just a pure
Toxic.
number.
Hold on. Toxic.
No, George.
Yeah, no, you already had your chance. Shut the fuck up. Toxic.
All right. I've got 3 Zelos, and they're ballistic Zelos, so they got ballistic weapons on it. And I've got 2 Monos that I modified just for that. Before that, I used to do it with 3 Zelos, and it took me, just like yourself, about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and I had both rounds done. Yesterday, I'm in a quiet sector at the moment, so I've got 115s all over the place from the set go, and it still takes me over an hour. It took me yesterday over an hour to go out and hit enough of the 115s to get all the prizes up to the very top chest, which I didn't get because it was an hour and 10 minutes or so, and I couldn't be bothered anymore after that. But I did get one of the resistors, so I could just go the next day and finish it off. And I've done that now. I've got the last chest, and I've got a couple of resistors. So
So you said
Probably all up about hour and a half to get to the very last chest.
and that was with a 750,000 top prize instead of a 1.3 million top prize.
Yeah.
So probably about 2 hours just grinding straight if you wanted to get like a typical top prize and then all the chests.
Yeah, thereabouts. Because some of the 115s have been hit.
So more,
so
yeah, but so more than doubled what the chore was before.
Yes.
Okay.
Easily.
Well, it's all monetized. I mean, that's what it's about. The longer they keep.
Ain't no one monetized. Ain't no one fucking blitzing damn FM, man.
No, but the point is, it keeps your eye in front of the game. It makes you feel like doing something different than what you are.
It's made me walk the hell away from the game. I'll be honest.
Thank you. I'm the same way.
I think it's the opposite of monetizing it. I think it's because it keeps people from interacting in parts of the game that they would monetize.
That they want to, right?
Yes, they would, because like George said, people aren't going to blitz the 103s and pay. I mean, there may be a small group, but it's not looking at the fact that you're preventing players from doing PvP and other actions, or even the TLCs,
playing the game.
Yeah. But it's actually preventing monetization of the game. By keeping them in this dull state of just click, watch TV, whatever. It's keeping players away from monetization. Sort of like, the other example that popped up recently was the low resource payouts in the siege targets in the raid.
Hell yes.
I mean, they're keeping people from spending money by doing this. I mean, I don't think they understand at all what's going on by doing certain actions in the game, because the low resource payouts in the siege targets prevented people from coining fleets. The FM drudgery is preventing people from participating in PvP and other things where they could make money. I don't understand it. I mean, it's not. Everybody's talking about, they're just doing this to make money, but they're not doing a good job at that. Which we've talked about before in different ways. I'm not even talking about, people that are going to spend a little bit and incorporating them into the game. I'm talking about the people that want to spend coins, that, I got coins I want to spend. And they're preventing them from doing it with some of the actions in the game. Some of these targets that take so long, as the FM targets do. So, minimizing the amount of resources that players can get. And they've done that the last two raid cycles. They also did it with the skirmish targets, because there was so little capacity in those halls. I mean, it was better than it is now, but they keep on squeezing the resources. I mean, if you're paying for resources, you're also buying the fucking walls. I mean, this is not the normal player. This is a mega whale that doesn't even care. That's doing these kind of things where they're buying resources to build halls. It's or blitzing the 103s, things like that. These are players that, I don't want to make any judgment on them, but it's not the normal player. It's not the normal player that wants to coin, because that's coining stupid stuff in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they've broken out, players based on demographics and stuff, and that what you're describing, that people that would coin that are probably in the ultra elite of the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way. Like, yeah, they drive the game, and thank you guys, but I don't think any of them would disagree with the concept that, you know what, if there's no one else to play with, they're not going to stick around.
we're not even talking about the 1%ers. We're talking, because that used to be 3 years ago we would talk about the 1%ers, or 2 years ago we talked about the 1%ers.
Yeah, this is the 1% of the 1%ers.
Yeah, it's like 4 guys, and it's I don't know who. I mean, I would love to see the data. Who's actually coining their FM with blitzing on the 103s? I would love to see how many people are actually doing that.
But all these questions and they're all valid and whatnot. But the FM isn't what annoys me. I mean, I can choose to do it, or I can do it another day. I don't have to hurry or worry or whatnot.
Well,
because it's there for a week. But what really annoys me is that the TLCs that you got to have 7 run-throughs, and you got to do it within an hour.
I was about to say that.
And it gets more and more and more difficult. And if I can't do it the first time, you make it more difficult the second, and even more difficult the third. How am I going to do it?
Yeah, I was actually going to tie that into TLCs and stuff, because the FM is not, in and of itself, it's one of those things, like I said in shows and articles and everything, it's not just on its own. On its own, it's kind of understandable, but when you take it as a whole for the rest of the game, that's when it's fucked. And like the TLCs are a good example. Like the last one, not the Herculean's what we have now, right? What did we have last week? We had the was it the Eviscerator one?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So like the Eviscerator one, some people that had gotten through it and gotten to the Mastery Prize one time, they didn't have to do all the early ones. They went straight to the Mastery one. And I had gotten to the Mastery one, but I had to go through all the other ones. I didn't do the damn TLC. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going through all three levels again. I don't understand why, like on the Herculean, you get to prize pack 3, right, or prize pack 4. Why are you doing 7 fucking targets, right? Why do they have that many targets? Give me 2 hard targets. Let me take some fucking damage and have done. That way I can get the shit.
Well, it's 7 targets in an hour, which I fucking hate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to do it with the time thing, why have 7 targets? Especially when the first 2 are like, if you've done the first, like if prize pack 1 is 2 targets, don't have those in the next and the rest of them. Start and target 3 and 4 for the second prize pack. Don't do 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the second prize pack. I mean, you're giving us 6 hours. What the fuck? Just do prize pack 3 and 4. I mean, target 3 and 4. And when you get to the mastery, have the last 2 hardest targets. You're either going to be able to do it or you're not. It doesn't matter about the first couple.
I don't want to make anyone feel bad, but I really don't know, but I don't think that I've gotten all the way through the mastery last time. But when that last tilt come out again, well, last week or whenever it was, I went straight to mastery. I don't know why.
Yeah, some people did, and some people didn't, and I actually like the idea of going straight to the mastery if you've already gotten there and there's nothing in the top tiers that you want.
But that's the thing. I don't think I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think I did.
Yeah, it's weird because we talked about this has been happening because I blamed because Larry came on the show and said he had skipped all the way ahead, and I asked if Mrs. Battlepire Professor had actually, when he wasn't home, did that, because I had a different situation where I had hit all the targets, even though I had gone all the way to that point. So yeah, there's some weirdness going on. Like right now, I don't have to hit. I have to hit the first target, but not the second target because of the 5,000 VXP token.
Right. I think everyone's had to do that. And when you finish it, it actually says you've completed the second one, not the first one.
Yeah, but like he said, like I was saying, he was already skipped through some of this stuff. So I'm not sure what's causing that.
On the Herculean?
I think, was it Herculean or the last one? But there's some of them, yeah.
The Eviscerator one, I know there was people that started in Mastery and some people that started in Prize Pack 1. And I unfortunately started in Prize Pack 1, which kept me from even attempting it. I just said, fuck it, it's not worth my time. But the Herculean one, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody jumping ahead past. Like, I know if you've gotten everything in Prize Pack 2, you complete Prize Pack 1, you get out, and it tells you you've completed Prize Pack 2 instead, which I guess is normal because of the way they did it. And then they start in Prize Pack 3 next.
I think that's what happened to me.
Yeah, I haven't heard any deviations from that. But the Eviscerator one for sure, I heard a bunch of people.
Okay.
Yeah, well, see, the reason I know this is because to get anything done in the bounty, I needed a Kingswood fully built,
Decked
and
out,
I only had the hull, so I had to do the target. I think I had to do it twice to and it cost me, I think, 25 or 30 coin each time, and that's how I got my build token so that I could participate in the bounty. And yeah, it just it amazes me how they can justify making it harder and harder and harder all the time when people that can't do it on level 3, they're not going to be able to do it on level 5 or on level 10, and that sort of makes me a bit angry.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, you've heard Earth on the show because he came back to the game after being an extremely high level player. And he came back to the game and he decided to just, because he coined to buy hunters, and now he can't really participate, or Gadget. I'm not sure Gadget's still in the game. I mean, he coined stuff, but he didn't coin both. He wasn't willing to coin both sides. And so players coming back to the game that are willing to spend bucks aren't getting treated properly, in my mind. If you're willing to buy one of these $100 fleets, you shouldn't have to buy another $100 fleet in order to do the TLCs.
And that and as well as the wimpy descriptions that they give. I mean, why don't they say on level 1 you will need best done with a hunter fleet. Level 2, run through 2, best done with a Fang fleet.
That would be nice.
Why don't they just give you precision? That tell you exactly what to do. I mean, people are going to do it. Why do we have to find out what ourselves? It's just silly.
In the past, I could be like, okay, well, you got to figure it out, bring in whatever fleet. But now, where you're kind of stuck. This is the fleet you're going to use. Yeah, they got to start doing that. They have to, because you don't have a choice to use anything else.
And the thing is, if you do one wrong thing, like I accidentally took a hunter fleet in one of those targets, and it took one volley from one of those ships and 13 house repair. Thank you very much. Bang, So it's silly. That they got to do something about that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. They need to be much more descriptive that way. And yes, no, it's ridiculous. Especially people taking close to a day of damage, and 50 coins of damage because they didn't tell them you can't bring this fleet in. That's silly in my mind.
But at the same time, some of them they're giving us the description and telling you, yeah, you can use the Hell Wraith, you can use this, you can use that, and no, you can't.
Weapons jam, baby.
Well, we're over that, but all right. I think we've gone through. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ed.
No, I was thinking of the TLC where they're still saying that you can use Tideseekers and you can use Hell Wraiths. One of them will work for the reverse level, let alone the rest of it. So they're not even giving us the correct information when they're giving us information.
Yeah, it's sad, but maybe that they started off all right. They've did a few good things. Let's see how the year continues, and maybe they're getting it's just a start. Maybe it's going to get a lot better soon. So
yeah, they've changed the people in charge again, but they didn't bring in new people, which is good.
Yeah, so we just got to give. I mean, we all knew it's gonna get a bit tough there for a while. So give them a chance. See how they go.
Yeah,
That's all you can really do, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they did get rid of the Snarler, at least as far as Battle Pirates, and
The Snarler.
GDA.
what? Everybody knows it. You didn't need to mention by name, but yeah, they got rid of the Snarler, and so we're moving forward in a different direction at this point, and we'll figure out how that's going to work out. But I guess we're going to move to the after show because I think we're just sort of rehashing old shit. And, I'm fine to do it, but I'm not sure we need to do that on the live show. But thank you, everybody, for showing up, and we appreciate it. And, if we want to, like we said, go to George's page. Let's see if anybody else is on YouTube. Go to George's page and click subscribe, and click subscribe here because we're all prevented. I don't monetize this show, but it would be cool if I actually could. But starting February 20th, nobody without 1,000 subscriptions can't.
I thought it already started. I thought it was February 1st.
I think it's February 20th.
Oh, my page is still alive for a little bit then. Cool.
Yeah. So, go to George's page or click subscribe here. So, and if we decide, we need our beer money on this show or, whatever George is doing over there, we can do that. I'm not sure that we can pick the ads, but
that would be nice. Victoria's Secret.
Well, I'm not even going to get into the fact that, I didn't find out today that August Ames is dead, but, please don't Google that if you're at work. But some people.
So for everybody who doesn't know, what
Yes.
is George's channel? Because obviously the people who are hearing this know what your channel is, but what is George's channel so they know?
Oh shit! It's Anisi here. It's ANISIXIA. Maybe I'll put it in the description or underneath in the chat in the comments or something. I didn't even think of that, dude. Shit.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, you bet.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to post the Hangout link one last time. And see you all on Wednesday, if not before. And thank you a lot for showing up.
Good night, everybody.
And welcome to the after show.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.